Greetings and welcome to another impressions video here at Words About Games, and today we're going to be looking at Nioh 2. Nioh 2 is a prequel to 2017's Nioh, despite the 2 in the title, continuing the samurai souls-like gameplay of its predecessor. You take on the role of a half-yokai samurai in 1500s Japan running across Tokushiro, a merchant looking to make his fortune travelling a land ravaged by war and demons in equal measure. It's your job to keep Tokushiro safe, complete jobs, and fight off the mysterious Kashin Koji, who is haunting your every movement. Story isn't really important in Nioh 2. The game starts out with a really strong opening cutscene. A woman tells you an old Japanese fable of a legendary warrior who forged a magical sword to defeat a powerful demon, right before she's brutally murdered partway through telling it. It doesn't so much set the tone for the story as it does set the tone for the game itself. Nioh 2 is brutal, unforgiving, and very often surprising. The cutscenes are nice, and the characters you meet are likeable enough, but the game knows you're really here for more of that sweet Samurai Souls-like gameplay you were addicted to 3 years ago. Incidentally, I've no idea where I picked up the term Samurai Souls-like, but it's a wonderful and descriptive phrase. Combat is incredibly slick. Its speed is dependent on your choice of weapons and stances as you tackle as many enemies out for your blood. For me, Nioh 2 is a fast-paced action game, thanks to my predilection for spears and light armour. For others, I imagine the game could be more slower-paced and deliberate. One universal constant, whether you're a fan of fast or slow weapons, is that Nioh 2 is a precise and unforgiving challenge. Combat particularly has its own rhythms, and if you're not prepared to play the game to those rhythms, you'll quickly find yourself on the receiving end of a brutal beatdown. There is no option to brute force your way through the game. Nioh 2's opening levels are designed to teach you what the game wants from you and how to play it, which can make the first hours feel considerably more challenging than the ones that follow. But once you're over the curve and in sync with it, Nioh 2 is as fluid and satisfying an experience as ever. Learning the intricate balancing act of when to attack, dodge, and block is tough but exhilarating, especially when you factor in ki bursts and burst counters. The former lets you regain your stamina, called ki, if you time a button push after an attack. The latter is a parry move that lets you block and reflect burst attacks from enemies, which are denoted by an enemy glowing red and usually fatal if they hit you. Putting all of this together into a fight feels incredibly gratifying. New to Nioh 2, you play as a half yokai, or shiftling as the game nicknames it. You're able to briefly transform yourself into a yokai, becoming an indestructible murder machine that deals out huge amounts of damage. You can also make use of soul cores dropped by yokai, which give you buffs as well as powerful special attacks that can deal massive damage to an enemy's stamina. Drain their stamina, which you can also do through standard attacks, and you can grapple them for big damage. I've relished combing every inch of Nioh 2's levels, looking for all the cute Kodama, finding all the optional enemy encounters, and slowly beating my way through its boss fights. And every time I've either succeeded or failed, my reaction is the same. I want more. And more is certainly what you get in Nioh 2, sometimes to its own detriment. While the core combat is incredibly solid, the rest of the game can feel a tad convoluted. There are a lot of different skill trees, systems, and items to keep track of, and they don't stop unlocking many hours into the game. There are 13 skill trees in Nioh 2. One for each of the 9 weapons, plus trees for Onkyo, which is magic, ninjutsu, which is for items, shiftling abilities, and samurai abilities. Each skill tree has a huge spiderweb of potential unlockable passive and active abilities, and you'll more than likely be juggling at least 4 or 5 of them at once. They all level independently of one another, depending on how much you're using particular weapons or items, or if you find special locks in the world. On top of that, you also have the primary leveling system of the game, where you gain Amrita for killing enemies to spend on raising your 8 primary stats that buff your 24 core stats that cover everything from your health and stamina to weapon damage, encumbrance, Onkyo and ninjutsu effectiveness, how effective special armor can be, resistance to various types of damage, and a ton more. Throw in a cumbersome inventory management screen, which sees you quickly overwhelmed by a tremendous variety of different weapons, armor pieces, and general use items, and some of which I still can't figure out their use. And you've got a hugely intimidating and frustrating set of mechanics that feels incredibly convoluted. And all of that's without even getting into crafting, which I gave up on relatively quickly due to my seeming inability to craft anything worth using. Dojo training missions that are vital to unlocking portions of the skill trees, purifying soul cores and juggling which two you want to have equipped, earning titles and reputation to boost your stats even further, and the myriad of different buffs that come with weapons and gear, many of which are frustratingly vague in their wording of what they actually do. One item that is definitely worth paying attention to, however, are Onkyo Cups, the currency you trade in to summon AI partners or other players into your game. Throughout Nioh 2 you'll find benevolent graves, dropped by other players. These allow you to summon an AI version of said players into your game to follow you around and help you out. They're not much used against bosses or really tough enemies due to being unable to heal themselves or do much other than mindlessly charge attacking enemies, but they can help you regain progress or crack particularly tough sections of exploration. You can also summon other players into your game, and they are helpful for clearing bosses. After getting stuck on Nioh 2's second main boss, I gave this a shot, summoned an extra player, and was able to take down the boss that had been giving me trouble. It still wasn't an especially easy fight, and I still had to be mindful while fighting, but it was a really fun experience tackling portions of the game with another human player. You can only enter multiplayer in missions you've already cleared, however, which is great for helping out struggling players, but it does feel like a missed opportunity that you can't play through Nioh 2 with your friends in a more traditional form of co-op. If you choose to use it, however, the multiplayer in Nioh 2 is one of its best features, and can make tough challenges a little more manageable. Despite its cumbersome menus and some overwhelmingly convoluted leveling and inventory management, Nioh 2 is still an excellent action RPG. The incredibly slick and fluid combat more than makes up for any of its shortcomings. It takes a little while to get used to, and it's certainly front-loaded with difficult boss encounters, but once you can get yourself in tune with the rhythms of its fighting mechanics, you'll find that the hooks can get in pretty deep. If you're a fan of Souls-like games, don't skip out on Nioh 2. Thanks very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, consider sticking around here at Words About Games. Our content includes review impressions of games big and small, a weekly podcast dedicated to discussing the happenings in and around the games industry, weekly opinion videos, reactions, debate-driven top 5 and top 10 lists, a regular Hall of Fame series where we discuss our favourite games, and indie game spotlights. We also stream every Friday and Saturday at twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. Most importantly, have a brilliant day.